Enola Holmes runs through the busy streets of Victorian London, chased by two police officers. They trap her in a narrow alley, and she turns to speak directly to the audience, explaining how she got into this situation. Some time earlier, after solving the case of Lord Tewkesbury's disappearance and attempted murder, Enola decides to open her own detective agency. She rents a small office in London, places ads in newspapers, and prepares to take on cases. However, no one wants to hire a young girl as a detective. Most people believe it was her famous brother, Sherlock Holmes, who solved the Tewkesbury case. While Sherlock continues solving crimes, rumors spread that he is struggling with a series of brilliant thefts. Meanwhile, Enola's mother, Eudora, is busy causing small-scale disruptions, like using harmless explosives in mailboxes to promote women's rights. Lord Tewkesbury has become a popular figure in the House of Lords, advocating for reforms and gaining the admiration of both the government and the public. He writes letters to Enola and invites her to a ball, but she ignores him, remembering her mother's advice to find her own path and resist society's expectations. As time passes, Enola's detective agency fails to attract clients. She packs her belongings to move out, thinking her business has failed. Just as she is about to leave, a 10-year-old match girl named Bessie walks in. Bessie saw one of Enola's old ads and asks for help finding her missing sister. Enola finally gets her first real case. Bessie takes Enola to her home in the slums, a cramped tenement where she lives with her sister, Sarah. The small room is shared by other local match girls. Bessie describes Sarah to Enola, who notices they don't look alike. Bessie and Sarah's friend, May, explain that Sarah had taken Bessie in as her own. While investigating the room, Enola finds a few odd things: potted plants, some dead science books, and a collection of makeup, unusual for someone like Sarah. She also discovers Sarah's habit of leaving cheese out for rats, as Bessie says Sarah was kind to them. Among the items, Enola finds a partially burned paper with only the 12th of March visible. May, suspicious of Enola, tries to make her leave, but Bessie insists on hiring her to find Sarah. Bessie tells Enola she last saw Sarah a week ago at the match factory, arguing with the foreman, Mr. Crouch, who accused Sarah of stealing from his office. Sarah left Bessie only a small amount of money she had earned from her two jobs, working at the match factory and washing glasses at a pub called the Stag Antlers. Bessie offers Enola the money, but Enola refuses payment until the case is solved. In disguise, Enola goes with Bessie to Lyon's match factory, blending in with the other working girls. She uses a fake name to avoid suspicion. At the entrance, the foreman, Mr. Crouch, checks all the girls for signs of typhus, which has been spreading among the workers. Bessie shows Enola Sarah's workstation, and Enola notices the girls' wages are deducted for even small mistakes. Enola sneaks into Crouch's office and finds an old pack of matches dipped in red phosphorus, unlike the white phosphorus currently used. She also discovers a thread of red hair in a ledger, which has several pages missing. While searching, she overhears Mr. Leone, the factory owner, his son William, and a wealthy man named Lord McIntyre discussing the theft. Enola narrowly avoids being caught as Leone shows McIntyre around, proudly showcasing the hardworking girls, many of whom have suffered or died from typhus over the years. At the end of the day, Enola learns from Bessie that May once helped Sarah sneak into Crouch's office by starting a fire at her station as a distraction. Enola decides to follow May that evening to uncover more clues. May, trying to avoid being followed, leads Enola to a bustling downtown theater called the Paragon Asterisk. Inside, a young woman swings onto the stage on a trapeze, and Enola spots May among the dancing girls. After the performance, Enola sneaks backstage, where May confronts her with a knife, warning her to stay out of things and that someone like her shouldn't interfere. Enola quickly disarms May and pins her, demanding to know what Sarah took from Lyon's office. She deduces from the makeup at Sarah's apartment that both Sarah and May worked at the theater but lied to Bessie about it. May admits the knife is only a stage prop before being called back to perform. Enola bribes the stage manager to let her see Sarah's makeup station. He tells her that Sarah had a secret admirer, a gentleman who sent her flowers and letters. Sarah seemed interested in him. Enola finds one of the hidden letters, containing a poem signed with a drawing of a poppy. She begins to suspect Sarah might have run away with, or is hiding from, this admirer. On her way home, Enola realizes she is being followed by a man carrying a cane with a metal tip. She manages to evade him but unexpectedly runs into Sherlock, who has just been thrown out of a pub. Both are surprised to see each other, and Sherlock, visibly drunk, claims it's part of his latest case. Enola helps him back to his apartment at 221B Baker Street and is amazed to step inside the famous, albeit extremely messy, home. Sherlock warns her not to touch anything before passing out. Curious, Enola looks around and discovers evidence of his current case, a chaotic map linking dozens of interconnected crimes. The next morning, Sherlock is irritated to find that Enola has moved some of his papers and tells her to leave. Enola suggests he get a flatmate to help him avoid falling into disorder and drunkenness. As they argue, Sherlock deduces from her appearance and state that she has been working in a match factory. Noticing the mark on her neck from May's knife, he asks if she is in danger. He warns her against getting into trouble just to prove herself and reminds her that his offer to make her his ward still stands. Enola insists she doesn't need his help or approval and leaves in frustration. Fuming, Enola goes to the park but is interrupted by Tewkesbury, who is on his daily walk to the House of Lords. They exchange awkward pleasantries, with Enola complimenting his work and mentioning that he's now seen as an eligible bachelor in society. Tewkesbury dismisses the gossip and notes he has seen her in the park before during his commutes. Enola brushes it off, claiming she enjoys breakfast there occasionally. When he asks why she ignored his letters, she says she was busy starting her business. He offers financial help, but she declines. Tewkesbury tells her she knows where to find him and continues on his way. After he leaves, Enola admits to the audience that she doesn't come to the park often but knows all of Tewkesbury's usual routes by heart. Suddenly inspired, she examines Sarah's lover's poem and discovers a coded address hidden in the words. Following the clue, she arrives at a flat with a broken door. Inside, the apartment is ransacked, showing signs of a red-haired woman and a man having lived there. In the bedroom, Enola finds May on the bed, gravely injured with a knife in her stomach. Enola tries to save her, but May dies, pointing to her pocket before taking her last breath. Enola discovers a piece of sheet music titled The Truth of the Gods*. Inspector Lestrade arrives with Superintendent Grail, whose cane makes the same metallic clang Enola heard the previous night. Grail and Lestrade suspect Enola of murder, as she has blood on her hands and tried to hide evidence. Distrusting Grail, Enola escapes and returns to Sherlock's flat. When Lestrade arrives shortly after, Sherlock successfully hides her. Afterwards, Enola and Sherlock share their case details. Sherlock explains that a series of sophisticated financial thefts have been funneling money into an untraceable account. The thief is clearly a genius, relishing the challenge. His only clue is a vague description of a man stealing a document from the Treasury office. Sherlock warns Enola to stay hidden while he continues his investigation. While Sherlock is gone, Enola reads an article about an upcoming ball hosted by Mr. Lyon to address typhus among the matchmakers. Recalling her conversation with Tewkesbury, she realizes the flower on Sarah's note is not a poppy but a sweet William, likely symbolizing Mr. Lyon's son, William Lyon. Determined to uncover the truth, Enola decides to infiltrate the ball. Enola successfully infiltrates the grand party but quickly realizes she won't be allowed to speak with William Lyon without a proper chaperone. Frustrated, she is approached by Mira Troy, Lord McIntyre's enigmatic personal assistant. Mira offers her a decorative fan, explaining that it can be used to communicate in secret codes through subtle movements. Intrigued but still unsure how to approach William, Enola learns that the only way she might speak to him unchaperoned is through a dance, a skill she was never taught by her unconventional mother. Spotting Tewkesbury among the guests, Enola seizes the opportunity. She pulls him into a secluded bathroom and demands he teach her to dance. Tewkesbury, bewildered but concerned by her urgency, hesitates until she explains that a girl's life is at stake. Agreeing reluctantly, he begins to teach her the steps. As they move through the motions, their initial awkwardness fades, and they share a moment of closeness. Tewkesbury admits he has noticed her following him and expresses his concern for her safety. Enola brushes it off, insisting she can take care of herself but cannot hide her gratitude for his help. Their impromptu lesson is interrupted by a knock at the door, forcing Tewksbury to leave. Before he exits through the window, he hands her a dance card and flourishes the fan he borrowed from Mira, promising she will eventually understand its coded language. Enola, emboldened by the lesson, re-enters the ballroom and convinces William Lyon to sign her dance card. Examining his handwriting, she confirms that it matches the notes Sarah received, proving he was indeed her lover. Just as Enola begins to form her next move, she notices Lady Cicely approaching Tewksbury to ask for a dance. To her annoyance, he accepts, leaving Enola with a pang of jealousy she quickly tries to dismiss. Determined to stay focused, she clutches the fan and her dance card, ready to decode the next layer of the mystery. Meanwhile, Sherlock deciphers his own puzzle, using a book of dances as the key to crack the cryptic pattern in his case. The result is a simple message: "Congratulations." It is signed with a single name, Moriarty *. The discovery sends chills down his spine, hinting at an adversary of unparalleled intellect and ambition. At the ball, as the guests begin the next dance, Enola uses the opportunity to confront William Lyon. She questions him about Sarah, but her inquiries clearly frighten him. Reluctantly, William agrees to meet her later in private to explain everything. When Enola arrives at the rendezvous point, she finds Tewksbury waiting instead. Concerned for her safety, he tries to convince her to stop her reckless pursuit of the truth. They argue, with Enola accusing him of being more interested in securing a wife among his numerous admirers than truly caring about her. Tewksbury vehemently denies this, his frustration revealing the depth of his feelings for her. Their tense exchange is interrupted by William, who recognizes Tewksbury but has no chance to speak further, as the police burst in and arrest Enola. Before being taken away, Enola discreetly slips her evidence, William's signed note and the coded address, to Tewksbury, urging him to continue the investigation. She is brought to Scotland Yard and interrogated by Superintendent Grayle. During the questioning, Enola pieces together that Grayle has been following her and may on behalf of someone else, someone powerful. When she refuses to cooperate, he threatens to extract answers from Bessie instead, forcing Enola to stay silent to protect the girl. Sherlock soon learns of Enola's arrest and rushes to Scotland Yard, where he demands her release. Grayle smugly refuses, presenting a groundbreaking piece of evidence to prove Enola's guilt: fingerprints. The cutting-edge technology shows Enola's prints on the knife used to kill May. Sherlock knows this is impossible, as Enola never touched the weapon. Realizing he needs outside help to free his sister, Sherlock seeks out Edith, their mother's old friend and judo instructor. Knowing Edith's sharp mind and resourcefulness, he hopes she can help him expose Grayle's corruption and save Enola before it's too late. The next morning, Enola is unceremoniously transferred to a prison transport carriage. Just as the grim journey begins, the vehicle is intercepted by her mother, Eudoria, and Edith, who arrive in a stolen carriage of their own. With precision and flair, the duo deploys smoke bombs, incapacitating the guards and liberating Enola. Enola is pulled into the carriage, and the trio speeds away, with officers hot on their trail. Inside the swaying vehicle, Enola and Eudoria have a hasty reunion. Though touched by her mother's concern, Enola quickly shifts focus to the case at hand, explaining her investigation and the mounting danger to Sarah, Bessie, and herself. Eudoria listens intently, offering strategic advice: "The best detectives don't work alone, Enola. Use the tools and allies at your disposal." The pursuit intensifies as Grayle appears, commandeering a second carriage to give chase. With a thundering crash, Grayle's forces manage to derail their vehicle, forcing Eudoria, Edith, and Enola to defend themselves. The trio fights off the advancing officers with skill and coordination, utilizing Edith's martial arts expertise and Eudoria's knack for unconventional weaponry. A final smoke bomb conceals their escape, and they vanish into the chaos. After finding temporary refuge, Eudoria uses the brief moment of calm to impart one last piece of advice: "Tewksbury is more than a boy who admires you, Enola. He's a man who fights for justice in his own way, brave and noble. You could do worse than to have him as an ally, or something more." Before Enola can respond, her mother and Edith prepare to leave again, leaving her to take the next steps on her own. Determined and reinvigorated, Enola sets out to follow her mother's advice, realizing she cannot solve the case alone. Enola returns to London to find Bessie and sends her to a safe place. While examining Sarah's tiny flat, she notices red and white match heads scattered in the plants and on the cheese Sarah fed to the rats. She realizes the white phosphorus is deadly, killing anything it touches, while the red phosphorus is safer. Enola recalls similar experiments from Sarah and William's apartment and pieces together the truth. The match factory has been using toxic white phosphorus for 2 years, causing the workers' deaths. The owners blame it on typhus to hide the truth, and Sarah has proof. Enola seeks Tewkesbury's help and apologizes for pushing him away earlier. Tewkesbury assures her he's too focused on politics to think about marriage. Enola supports him and explains the case. He offers to help. A knock interrupts them again, and Enola hides as Tewkesbury answers the door. Cicely, the woman from earlier, says she must urgently speak with him. He promises to talk later, and she leaves. Worried about Enola's reaction, Tewkesbury explains that Cicely came to confide in him about a factory law conspiracy. He tries to express his feelings for Enola, but she is lost in thought. She realizes that Cicely, who attended the ball without a chaperone, is actually Sarah Chapman in disguise. Enola runs outside to find her, but Sarah is gone. Frustrated, Tewkesbury follows and asks if she heard him. She did and asks about the fan flourish he gave her at the ball. He admits it meant, "I love you." Enola recalls Cicely, Sarah using the same flourish with William at the ball and realizes they were lovers working with May to expose William's father. They invited Tewkesbury because he is the only government official they trust. Enola confesses her love for Tewkesbury and asks for his help to solve the case. Enola and Tewkesbury sneak into the match factory and find Sherlock, who has traced his case to the same place. Upstairs, they discover William dead, likely killed during questioning. In his hand is a scrap of sheet music matching the one Enola found on May, The Truth of the Gods. Asterisk. Tewkesbury suggests, the gods, might refer to the upper balcony of a theater, so they head to the Paragon. On the way, anticipating danger, Tewkesbury asks Enola to teach him to fight in exchange for his earlier dance lesson. She shows him the basics, and they share a kiss. At the theater, Sarah meets Enola and Tewkesbury, revealing that the stolen documents proving Lord McIntyre and Henry Leone conspired to cover up the match girls' deaths are hidden under the balcony seats. They inform her of William's death, but before they can grieve, Grail arrives with his men, holding Bessie hostage to demand the papers. Bessie fights back and escapes, and chaos ensues as the group scatters. Grail shoots Sherlock in the shoulder and chases Enola upstairs. Meanwhile, Tewkesbury struggles against Beeston, Grail's henchman, in a hand-to-hand fight. Sherlock fends off 2 attackers but sees Beeston draw a saber against Tewkesbury and tosses him his cane sword to help. Enola lures Grail onto the catwalks above the stage, tricking him into wasting his bullets. Grail grabs a knife and corners Enola. He stabs her, but it's May's retractable prop knife, allowing Enola to turn the tables. Grail grabs a hook on a rope to attack her, striking her in the head and stealing the papers. Enola, dazed, notices the pulley system and uses it to her advantage. She jumps, grabbing the rope, causing the hook to snag Grail. Using him as a counterweight, Enola safely lowers herself while crushing Grail against the ceiling, then drops him to the floor, ending the fight. Moments later, Lestrade arrives with officers to arrest Grail and his men, clearing Enola's name. Lord McIntyre arrives with Miss Troy, summoned by Lestrade. McIntyre demands Sarah's arrest for theft and blackmail, but Sarah denies blackmailing anyone. Sherlock reveals the true mastermind, Mira Troy, also known as Moriarty. She hired Grail to find Sarah and orchestrated the interrogation that killed May and William. Moriarty admits she found the game thrilling and applauds Sherlock and Enola for their skill before being arrested. However, McIntyre burns the stolen documents, destroying the evidence of his crimes and devastating Sarah. Days later, Enola visits Sarah and Bessie. Without evidence, the factory continues its deadly practices. Enola joins them at the factory, urging the match girls to stand together and leave until the use of toxic white phosphorus stops. At first hesitant, the girls eventually unite and walk out in protest, leaving the factory empty. Some time later, Sherlock visits Enola, who has reopened her detective agency in Edith's upper office. He shows her a newspaper article, Tewkesbury has testified against Lord McIntyre, leading to his arrest. Sherlock offers to take Enola in as his ward and apprentice at Baker Street. Though touched, she declines, preferring to work closer to ordinary people while leaving high-profile cases to him. She advises him to find a companion to ease his loneliness. They agree to check in on each other and make plans to meet again soon. Tewkesbury arrives to court Enola, and they leave together. Sherlock thanks Edith for her assistance and notices a troubling headline: Moriarty has escaped police custody. As Enola and Tewkesbury stroll through London, he mentions securing them an invitation to a ball. Enola, recalling her previous experience, suggests finding a more enjoyable alternative. A few days later, Sherlock hears a knock at his door. Expecting Enola, he instead finds Dr. John Watson, who explains he was told Sherlock was looking for a flatmate. Realizing Enola's handiwork, Sherlock invites Watson inside. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.